Hi everybody, welcome back to Pelvis Party. My name is Becky Montpetit. I am the owner of Rochester Local, and today I'm joined by two wonderful special guests. We have Dr. Margaret Dow. She is the Department Chair of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Olmsted Medical Center, and Dr. Melissa Richards, who is the Division Chair of Hospital and Surgical Services. And today we're going to talk all about birth. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's birth it.
I'm so happy. I think it's really fun because you're post-call.
It's always fun when I'm
What does that
post-call.
mean?
Yeah, what does being post-call mean? We hear this a lot in Rochester. A lot of people are post-call because we're such a medical town. What is post-call?
Post-call, so when I was graduating from residency, one of my colleagues' boyfriends said, why do we call it call? Why don't we just call it work like everybody else? Because
So true. I mean, that's a good point.
kind of what call is.
Yeah.
Then it'd be work the midwife, not call the midwife. You know.
Oh, yeah,
That would
that's
be,
true.
that would take on a
Horrible
whole
joke.
different meaning
Bad
that we
joke.
know we're not going to do that.
Horrible joke.
So
As
being,
you were saying.
Right. Being on call means being at work. For OB-GYN, being on call typically means being in the hospital so that we can keep our patients safe. And in the olden days, pretty much meant you were going to work all night and then stay up all day to continue to work in the office. Thankfully, it usually doesn't mean that anymore.
Oof. No. I mean, you don't want to do that after you've brought life into the world.
Right? Bring life into the world and then rest.
How many lives did you bring into the world?
In the last
Yesterday?
24
Yeah.
hours.
4.
Oh, isn't that a
so-
delight?
It
That's
was
cool.
an absolute delight.
We
The best
can
job in the
say
world.
that the Rochester population has grown by at least 4 in 24 hours, which is so fun to think about, isn't it? How many lives have changed?
And I got to tell every single patient, like, I have met your kids' classmates for kindergarten, and they're going to be so nice.
Oh my gosh, that's
so
so
fun.
fun. I love that line.
That's awesome.
Okay, so now we know that you're post-call. Tell us, what is it that you do? What's your role at OMC?
I am the first full-time hospitalist at OMC. So the hospitalist movement is kind of a new thing. Have you heard about this?
I have not.
Okay. So hospitalists started in around 2008 and then took off really, really quickly in the OB-GYN world because it was a model that shifted from people trying to be on call and cover the office or be on call and then go to the office the next day
Sure.
like we just talked
Yeah.
about, to the person who's on call is in the hospital taking care of patients, and that is what they do
Okay.
for 12 or 24 hours.
Okay.
The models vary depending on how big the institution is. Some
Sure.
people do 12 hours. We do 24-hour on-call shifts.
Okay.
Which means I go to the hospital at 8 a.m., come into the hospital in the morning, and from 8 a.m. one day to 8 a.m. the next day, I'm in the hospital focusing only on what's happening in the hospital, both on labor and delivery and in the emergency department for those 24 hours.
I can see why the hospitalist movement would take off so quickly in OB-GYN.
It's fantastic. I mean, the rate limiting step was in the past. You know, I don't know about your mom, but my mom loved to talk about her OB-GYN. He was a family friend, and he was
Right.
like, I have a crazy birth story. I
Yeah.
came out foot first. And
Oh my
so
goodness.
the OB-GYN told the story for years about
Sure.
the nurse pulling up the sheet and saying, oh my gosh, there's a foot! Which is not the way you're supposed to do it.
Right.
Don't try this at home, kids.
right.
Well, I would like to interject a little bit because we at OMC had never had an OB-GYN hospitalist before. And when we have such an amazing reputation of giving great obstetric care, the continuity of care, the clinicians. Why do people come? The beautiful birth center,
Yes.
but the birth center is gorgeous, but also the clinicians, and you get to meet your clinicians. And, you know, I was really hesitant, and many of us were hesitant about this move. And then we realized if you hire good people, amazing people, it cracks me up. Patients who have the opportunity to be with Dr. Dow, they've met Dr. Dow, and our other hospitalists, we have a couple other hospitalists that help us out. They adore them. You just have this, and I hope everyone has that experience if they have hospitalists in their labor and delivery, because they're able to make connections. This group has an amazing ability to connect with patients very quickly, gain trust, and then they kind of fall in love with y'all.
Oh,
Isn't that
I'm so glad
great?
to hear that. I love that so much. And that's exactly where I was going. Thank you. Like, so my mom knew her OB-GYN for years.
Yeah.
As your mom probably did.
Right.
As your mom probably did. And that was terrific, except that they would just wear themselves out and have no home life, no family life. They, you know, their kids would be like, oh yeah, I think my dad's a doctor, but I never see him. Or I think my mom's a doctor, but I haven't seen her in a decade, or not really, but, and now we get to sort of find a little work-life balance. And still, if we're crafting a great team, still have fantastic patient care where the patient does have some sense of rapport with the providers.
Absolutely.
I have known Dr. Richards since I moved to Rochester, And when I had the opportunity to switch up and go to OMC and work with this woman, can you imagine anything better?
Look at you.
It's great, right? We have such an amazing team.
The whole team is terrific.
Dynamic duo.
Dynamic duo, dynamic
Team,
Love
everyone.
it. Yes, it's true. Yes, everybody.
Call it a deco if it's 10. Are we a dynamic
Yeah,
deco?
let's deco.
That's not
Absolutely.
really the right word, but I like it.
So explain labor and delivery at OMC. Just to, explain what that's like.
Labor and delivery at OMC is probably the premier model of we're all about you. I think the delivery of service, the personal touch, the high-touch care for patients who want high-touch care, the sort of hands-off cares that we allow doulas and other birth support people in the room to help people through a lower intervention birth.
Our CNM service.
We offer
water
really
births.
full spectrum.
Yes, water births.
Yes. Like what you want from labor and delivery outside of a home birth, we have at OMC. And we have the technology and the personnel to deliver a higher level of care if that becomes important. But we also have the ability to keep things really low key and treat pregnancy like a normal, healthy, physiologic human state, which it is.
I first learned about the term a physiologic birth when I had my children at the birth center at OMC. And I just remember thinking to myself, as I'm laboring, truly, how calm everything is. You have a perception of what things could be like through your only interaction with birth, which for most people is through movies or whatever, TV or books. And it just, everything about the birth, my midwife just walked in and out. There was no rushing. There was no slamming of doors. There was no yelling. Like, there's no like push. Like, there's just calm, just allowing your body and empowering the patient to just make these decisions that she.
How about that moment when Dr. McKeon entered your story, though?
Yeah.
When things changed.
Yes.
Like, how did we do with that?
That was, I mean, Dr. McKeon, so my birth ended in a C-section, and Dr. McKeon was the person who performed my C-section, and she was incredible. The amount of care shown to me, and empathy shown to me as a mother who assumes that you're going to have one type of birth and then doesn't, and then the continuity of care, because then she was my OB-GYN for my second. And so there was this continuity of understanding what my birth was before because she was there, and just talking through everything and talking through my options. And it was, I mean, I loved both experiences so much for very different reasons, but the same level of
Are you
care was
goosebumping
there.
like crazy right now?
Goosebumping.
Oh, like, shout out to Dr. McKeon and the whole team, man. Right?
Right?
And that's what it should be like. And I feel like so often women feel like their birth story kind of got stripped from them, that the birth story becomes about something other than what they wanted from their experience or what they were able to participate in terms of discussions and options. And we do that really beautifully.
I would agree.
Team does that really beautifully.
I would agree, and I would even say down to the people administering, your epidural or spinal when you're getting a C-section. I mean, I just remember being cared for by the people surrounding you at a level that was parental almost. Like, it's okay. I'm right here. This is great. Or just even like reassuring. Like, I remember one person just doing this on my face and just feeling like I'm cared for here. I'm really cared for here. My births are very special, and I'm still in contact with the people that I know.
So good.
I know. So it's a very special place.
I had a patient the other day who, right after delivery, she had this incredible delivery with a little minor complication that we took care of, because nothing's an emergency on labor and delivery if you know what you're going to do about it, right?
Yeah.
And we have a plan for everything.
Yep.
A backup plan for the backup plan for the backup plan for everything. So it's all covered, so we keep things calm even when there are emergencies. So she had a little tiny bit of an emergency, and nonetheless a lovely birth. There are babies lying on her chest at the end of things, and everybody's happy and everybody's smiling, and I'm a little tearful because the dad had gotten a little tearful, which always gets me.
Yeah.
And she said, this is just another birth to you, but it's not just another birth to me. You made this so special.
Oh.
And I was so taken by that I walked out of the room. I mean, not because she said that, but I walked out of the room after I was done with things. And the next morning I went back in and I was like, I really need to tell you something.
Yeah.
This may sound weird, but if I run into you at Hy-Vee next year, it may take me a minute to remember your name, but I will remember what room you were in. I will remember your birth. I will remember this complication. I will probably remember your baby's name because it's just something that, it's one of those things that kind of sticks in my brain. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I can't tell you how many birth stories are in my head forever. It's not, it's never just another birth, even if I can't pull the name right to mind the next day, right? You remember them all.
It's like listening to music or a song.
Yep.
It just like comes to you.
And I just, that this is, I mean, this is your superpower. This is your superpower as OB-GYN professionals because I've heard this. This is not, you two are not the only two that I've heard this from. It's just like these birth stories impact your lives so deeply and just totally touch you as humans, and it just makes you grow in empathy and compassion and carries you into your next patients and your next birth. Oh, let's just talk about birth forever.
I know, right?
Should
It's
we
so
just
good.
talk
it's
about birth
good.
forever?
It's good. The good, the
okay,
bad, the
but I
ugly.
am going to
It's great.
ask, what's the fastest birth you've ever attended?
Nah,
You didn't attend it, probably.
pretty much, yeah.
Probably like walking into the room and you're like, congratulations.
We've had the baby in the yoga pants. We've had the baby on the
Oh, my
sidewalk. but
goodness.
The fastest one that I was actually there for, I was a medical student.
Oh, my.
So I had delivered maybe 6 babies ever, and I was in the elevator in the hospital with a nurse and a patient who did not speak English, who was screaming because she was about to have her baby. And then she said, the baby's coming, or something like that. And I put my fingertips on the baby's head, and the baby kind of flew into my hands, and I put the baby on the mama, and the elevator door opened, and we got in as 3 and we got out as 4.
That's bananas.
Right?
That's
it was
great.
so crazy. And I'd already decided I was going to do OB-GYN, but in that second I was like, there's nothing else for me in this
my
world.
goodness. If there's one thing that you would like to convey to people considering a birth or maybe in your care, what is that one thing that you want people to know about their care with you?
Can I have 2 with a quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
2. Number 1 is I think that in the last 20 years, paternalistic medicine has really turned around so that care providers are more attuned to their patients' needs and what they want from birth. And birth in particular has gotten such a bad rap. I mean, we have alienated our patients in allopathic medicine, so people want to deliver at home even when they've got significant risk factors. We're on your side. Not just at OMC, but globally, I think there's a huge movement to care providers being really tuned into their patients' needs so that we can create a collaborative relationship instead of a paternalistic one.
Gotcha.
So we're here to listen, we're here to help, we're here to make it
really
all
love
about
that.
you. The second one is about poop. Yeah.
Poop.
Yeah. I told you I was going to talk about poop. We're going to talk about poop.
I love it.
Every woman comes into labor and delivery like, what if I poop? What if I
I know,
poop?
right? I'm
Oh,
like,
let me poop. Will
please
you tell
poop,
me if I
please.
poop?
I'm like, I hope I've got like this, I have my like little poop towel all covered up and no one will know.
No one will know.
But please.
This is Vegas. What happens in
Right?
Vegas stays
Oh
in
my
Vegas.
goodness.
Yes. Like,
If you poop, you're pushing in the right place.
I love that. Internalize that, everyone, that if you're pooping, you're doing it right.
Yep.
All right, on that note, we're going to wrap up our time with Dr. Dow and Dr. Richards. Thank you so much for being on the Pelvis Party with us. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.